Okay, good evening, everybody. And tonight we are going to speak with Dorcas Hand about her AASL presidential candidacy. And I'm waiting for Craig Seasholes, who will join us in a little bit too. He's riding his bike home from school, I think, right now. But we decided that we would start since it's a few minutes after the time we spoke about. And we asked our friend Dorcas to share with us because we want everybody to understand and know why she is running for AASL president, because she just told me that I think soon it will be open that we can all vote for that position in our organization that we all belong to. And so we wanted to make sure that everybody knew and could support Dorcas and also just our organization as teacher librarians. So thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. I'm thrilled to be here. And I think the most important message people need to take away is that we need everybody to vote for as many candidates as they are able to vote for, and also to participate in AASL because it's so rewarding. It's how I got here. 35 years ago when I started as a librarian, you could never have told me I would be sitting here in this interview today. It never crossed my mind. But the longer I've been involved and the more committees I've served on, ranging from bylaws a long time ago to sitting on the board more recently and leading the independent school section, the more I learn how important AASL is to everybody in a school library across the country, and that we have to do better and better job getting the word out to the people who don't understand why we matter. I guess that's the voice I feel like I've just discovered in myself recently, and this office offers me an opportunity to use that voice better.
Well, and that's what I love about your voice is what you all just said, and I think that that's why we do all need to vote, and we need to have a hand and voice in our organization because we all support each other. So before I ask you the first question, we just have to say hi to our friend Craig. We can see him now.
Hi, Craig.
We'll let him get settled, but I'm going to ask you the first question that we just all want to know, and you said a little bit about your past just now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I graduated from library school in 1978 and immediately was hired to a private school here in Houston. It never occurred to me that's where I would end up, but here I am. And it's important that I learned everything I've learned working with those students, and then I've noticed more and more how important it would be for me to work for and with my public school colleagues, because we're all in this together and all of our students need it, and I have so appreciated learning from everybody that I work with. So I've worked in a few different private schools over time. I did originally teach in the public schools before I had my library degree, and I didn't mean to live in Houston for 40 years, but here I am there too. My family's up on the East Coast. I have, let's see, I have 2 boys, a dog, and a cat. That probably covers it.
Woof.
We like to hear that. We like to hear that little bit about you. So,
I'm a contra dancer.
Oh, you know, hi there, Dorcas. I was going to actually tie one in because you're a dancer. And there's a piece of being in an association that is a dance, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of extended metaphors. Do you want to just do a riff on that? How is dancing like a conference or like an association gathering, right? Are you ready for that question, or do you want it later?
Well, I think it's, I never thought about it actually, but it's really true that you're, at least in traditional dancing that I do, you dance with a different partner all night long, but you're doing figures together that you glorify in one way or another as the dance goes along. And here we are in this association where you're meeting different people at every conference. You meet some of the same people and a lot of new faces, and you find ways to communicate and extend your message. It really is a dance that never ends. The music changes and the caller or the important issues may change, but the movement together as an extended community, it doesn't ever end, as we can tell by being across 3 time zones for this conversation.
It does, and I'll just you know, having come out of my elementary school just now and ridden across town, listening to a combination of music where I listened to a friend sing a song called "Give a Little More," do a little more than what's expected, and listening to some classical music and loving to dance as you do. So much of our work is individual in our buildings, and that the power of this association stuff is to realize that there are some very talented people who work on their own, but when they work together, there's such a thing, there's such a wonderful thing that, not to belabor the metaphor, but the change from individual effort to a group effort is nourishing, it's significant, and I was just thinking what a powerful message that is for people about why we join associations, why we participate in group things. And
Absolutely. I think a lot of people perceive that joining an association is a time suck, when in fact it's like plugging in to the wall socket because of everything you get back from it. That's not a dance metaphor, but I always come home tired, but tired in a well-exercised way, and I have so many ideas floating around from all the people that I've talked to, and oh my God, can I do this? Can I do that? What is the next thing that I should accomplish?
Yeah.
And how can I share it with my school, with my colleagues in other schools in Houston, or in a blog post or whatever, because I take at least as much energy away from my work with ASL as I give to it. And that's a little bit scary to say, because I realize I spend a lot of time working for various pieces of both ASL, and I work actively with the Texas Library Association and the school librarians in Texas. And I have started with a friend a local advocacy group here in Houston that I neglected to mention before, because I got really upset about the way the local district is treating its librarians, and so we just started a community group, which is building with, and we're still really small, but it's kind of like your Washington moms, Craig.
Yeah.
It's just teeny, but we're getting ever the slightest bit of traction as we go along, and it's kind of exciting work.
Yeah, what's the link for that, or if people want to see that?
Yes, it's right over here on the side. Students need libraries in HISD.org. Wait a minute, what's the one I share the screen with? Is that the green one? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what it looks like.
Yeah, there it is. Uh-huh.
The home page. This is a post I wrote quite a while ago, but it's still valid. It's sort of the elevator speech mantra. And then we have a lot of, it's kind of a resource with a lot of information for any local librarian. And actually, we've broken it up so that instead of calling them stakeholders, because I feel like that's our jargon, I started calling them allies, because they are the people we need on our side. So I've pulled together some articles and things that might be of particular interest to parents. I don't know if you can read anything from where you are. You can all go at it later. But wait a minute. And for principals and administrators and for teachers, and then some little bit for policymakers. And this, obviously we're constantly building on this, but it's been pretty interesting. And then, of course, I pulled together all the stuff that librarians might need to work with these various audiences so that they'll have at their fingertips things they might not otherwise find. I guess one of my goals, if I'm elected, is to work with the office and improve the accessibility of our own AASL website, because wait a minute, how do I get rid of that? Improve the access, because some of the resources I list here I show on the Houston website because I can't find them reliably when I go to the ASL website, and I think that's something that we can work on, because ASL has a huge amount of already processed data and resources for advocacy with any audience. You just have to find it. So I want to get that word out so people can use these tools even better. There's the new ALA Office for Advocacy, which is also doing a lot of great work, and I think we need to build better bridges between the two. They're working side by side, but not always in best communication.
Yeah,
and doing great work.
I will say they were in great communication this week. I had a meeting Monday with Patty Murray's office, and they were sending 2 or 3 emails, both offices, really giving me the briefing papers I need to walk in and do a super competent job with her staff. And everybody needs to know that those things are there. They're just a click away.
Yes, absolutely. They are really so important.
Shannon, you had something there.
I think that's it's a good lead into this question that we really wanted to ask. And strong student achievement relies on strong library services, as we all know. And it's the AASL's mission to explain that fact to policymakers and administrators in schools and districts across the country, which is a form of advocacy. And we all know, too, that advocacy is the core of everything that we do. So how do you think that you will lead that charge?
Well, it's sort of been mind-boggling to me that when there were 2 librarians who were fired here in Houston about 2 years ago. They weren't the first and they weren't the last, but they were the ones that got my attention. And all of a sudden I started on this little saga of getting active, really active, instead of just supporting things when they landed in my lap, but not actually stepping out and doing them on my own. So I think that I just want to take the mission and the strategic plan and push them harder. The strategic plan is encouraging us to stay a little bit ahead of the curve as best we can in predicting what's next in terms of technology, in terms of Common Core, not Common Core, wherever that conversation may go. All of that, we need to stay on top of it, and ASL is doing its best to stay in that mix. We need to develop more data. We have a lot. And certainly the Colorado study has all its derivatives, none of which were done by ASL, but we certainly use that kind of research information. But we're starting to do a better job of developing our own data and make it more accessible to our members and beyond our members. And I also think one of the things we've really got to do better, we've done it well, but we need to do it even more, is speak not just among ourselves. Gloria Meraz of the Texas Library Association office did an editorial in our journal a couple months ago about the fact that we're really good at having conversations like ours this afternoon among ourselves, but we're not always that good at going to the principal's meeting or going to the superintendent's office or going to the legislators visiting Senator Murray or whoever. And I know that we've just had a big push here in Texas to try to get in touch with people, and I don't think we got as much results from our members as we would have liked. And somehow we need to teach people that's what they need to do, is to use their voice beyond the people who already know the answers. And that's the project I would like to lead.
I love that, because together we're definitely stronger, and that's what I think makes teacher librarians so powerful, is the group that we live in and how helpful we are to each other, but definitely to become advocates and stronger together so we can push that to administrators and to our state. And that's one thing that I, traveling and talking to teacher librarians, I hear a lot of, and so I'm super excited about that part of it and what you'll have to lend to that if you're elected. I think that's great.
It is very exciting possibility. Yeah.
And it's also very exciting because I think you see the power of that, but you're also still seeing it from the perspective of a practicing teacher librarian. And it's such a relief for me with all the virtues of strong administrators and strong academic support, to have a teacher librarian at the helm of the Teacher Librarians or School Librarians Association, I think is absolutely a powerful statement, because we do both, and we have to do both in all our work. We have to work with our feet on the ground with students, and we have to work with all branches of education, not just our tribe.
Correct.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that's great. Well, here's another question. How can AASL grow and strengthen its community? I think that, by maybe talking a little bit too about our connection with ALA and our connection even with other organizations that we have.
Well, I will say that I'm serving on council at the moment, and I think a lot of people see that opportunity as more of a duty, and I think I can say I did that when I first was elected, because I know how important it is for us to participate fully in big ALA, but I didn't really know why. And I sit at the meetings, and there is a certain level of TDM that goes with them, but there's also the big issues that come up that we get to talk about, and the connections that are made, and the fact there's a little caucus of all the youth, the counselors who are parts or interested in the youth services. So the ALSC and YALSA and AASL all get together as a little caucus off to the side outside of the meetings, so that we can plan things that need to happen, or if there are any issues we need to bring to the floor. And it's really been very interesting to see that in a more direct way. It's just like you're saying, we need to have the people, the building people at the top of ASL. We also need to have the building people in council to see how everything we do really is a part of a huger, is that English? A much bigger picture. So that's a piece of it. And then, yes, we need to be going and proposing sessions, probably with teachers at the Social Studies Convention and the IRA and all of these other groups. We need to be there in the mix, not just talking about it, not just reading their journal. We need to get articles into their journal. I recently had an article, I've had actually 2 in the last 3 years, in the magazine of the National Association of Independent Schools, which is mostly read by our administrators. Not that many teachers bother to read it. So it was very exciting to get, and I did it as a group on purpose. There were 3 authors and 4 authors on these 2 articles, so that we had a spread of schools represented for these administrators to hear from. And they were very well received articles. So it's, I think that we've, I mean, that's, I said it a minute ago, that's the same thing, but we've got to get our voice out, way beyond ourselves.
Yeah, it's part of that voice out. I'm just sharing my screen. People see that the elections opened up today, Dorcas, and so
Yes.
This page was just edited and updated. And I'm delighted that people now are getting the email from ALA that they can get out there and vote. I'll scroll down to confirm that they got my name spelled right for Region 8, because Seasholes, it's been a bugaboo my whole life.
Vote for Seasholes.
Yeah.
But I am delighted that that all got out there and that we were finally able to connect today, the day when.
I have to tell you that my service on the ASL board was one of the most interesting 3 years of my time in ASL, and I didn't expect it to be so. But it really was, to get to know the leaders in all the regions of the country and to really address some of the knotty issues that are ongoing, and there's always a new one. So don't get lazy here.
You were talking earlier about how much you get back. You go and you come back tired. When you and I served on the School Library of the Year Award Committee, that was when we met. Yes. But it was also just an example of seeing the great things that people are doing all over the place. And if you just get up and get around a little bit in the association, you really come away with so much more. You're really enriched by the effort.
That's really true, and I can also say that I've presented twice with Jennifer Jameson from the New Jersey school that we were in our year, and what we've talked about in New Jersey and in Texas both was the advantages to going through the process of applying for that award. Even if you actually don't finish and turn in your application, but going through the process of building your own strategic plan and getting all the documentation or most of it that's required for that application makes your library stronger, and it makes sure that you have addressed the issues in your library that you might have been kind of slacking over. I mean, I went home without a strategic plan. Never occurred to me I needed a strategic plan for my little library. But the process of writing it and then being able to show it to administration turned out to be really fruitful. So I think that committee was another eye-opener in my string of efforts in behalf of ASL that benefited me at least as much as I may have benefited the association.
Yeah, true that.
That's really great. We're so excited for you, Dorcas, and excited for you too, Craig, as the voting is open today. And we'd really like you, once again, just to share the information, how people can go to the website that you created, or if they have any questions, follow you on Twitter or wherever you want people to connect.
I am on Twitter, although I will admit I don't post really often. I find myself busy on the ground in school, and Twitter doesn't surface as much as it should. But I will show you my, wait a minute. There's my my website, which has links to a lot of my articles and past presentations and writings on advocacy, some things about intellectual freedom. You can see my CV. You can see a video of my speech at Midwinter, although it was done after the fact because it was better that way, the lighting and everything. And I got to show off my library, which I thought was an advantage.
You're generous. In fact, I ran your battery down, too.
Well, that's okay. And then there's also the text if you prefer to read it as opposed to listen to it.
It is.
Then we looked at this one. There's also a Facebook page for the Houston group, and I put that link on the chat side. And I don't know if anybody knows about Sarah Kelly John's collection of advocacy links, but here it is on the Frugal School Librarian, and I believe, did I get that link up there? Let me post that right now.
And I'll paste it in then.
Yeah, we can put it in there too.
There, it's in the chat.
Oh, good. So I think people will be better off to share that. Now I don't have, how am I unsharing?
That's all right. We see it.
There we go.
We see it now.
Read these, look at these on your own rather than here while I'm.
Right. Well, there's a wonderful bunch of things and opportunities, and I think it's always too, if anybody has questions about any piece of these election processes, we have to realize that you just reach out and talk to the people. This is not a mystery association. I had an email exchange with the ALA presidential candidate just the other day because it's easy enough to do, and people appreciate that support. We have a faculty here, Mr. James from the UW, and he's a terrific person, and all of this networking using these tools is a great way to reach out because it gives you direct contact, people can answer questions, and they also get a sense that they're a powerful agent for change, not just in their own school, but in their districts and in their states. And so if we can empower everybody for those strong school libraries,
absolutely,
it's a worthwhile venture.
I think it was Courtney Young who has most recently said an hour a week, but I've been saying 5 minutes a day for years, and 5 minutes a day times 365 days adds up to quite a bit of time, but it doesn't feel like much when you're just putting that 5 minutes forward. So I hope people will vote for me, of course, but what I really hope people will do is get to work advocating for their library and all the other school libraries that really need to have certified school librarians in them. That's where we're really going as an association, is to make sure that situation improves to levels I mean, it really, there should be a certified school librarian in every school.
Yeah. And that's a huge, that's what we all want and what we all advocate for. And so we're so happy that you spoke to us tonight, and it will be great to get the word out and see what happens next, right?
Yes, it will. So patience is what's called for from here on.
Yes, and I'm just happy that we had this conversation, because anytime that we can lift up, you know, our organization and our profession, and it's all, you know, for the power of teacher librarians and students in our communities. So it was really great to talk to you both tonight. And also, I see you both at ALA.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait.
That's good stuff.
It will be fun. I have TLA in just a couple of weeks, so I have my share of meetings.
I'll be there too. I'll be at
good.
Yeah. So
awesome. Well, let's have coffee.
Okay, we'll do that, my friend. So thank you so much, and good luck to both of you. And
thanks.
Yes, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.